Main man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. So I'm listening to one of Eddie Hearn's recent IG live interviews that he's been doing with his fighters. Salute to Eddie Hearn. I think that is a brilliant move that what he's been doing. He's been keeping his fighters relevant by giving them on-air interviews, live interviews, and posting them on social media, man. I think that's just one of the ways that Eddie Hearn, as a younger promoter, is getting around a lot of these older promoters who do know how to promote properly in this current climate. And Eddie Hearn is basically showing them how to do it and how to keep his fighters relevant. But anyway, so Boxing Scene also made an article also out of one of the interviews that he did, and I'm talking about the one with Josh Warrington, in which Josh Warrington stated in a recent quote during his interviews that he is down to basically fight Gary Russell Jr. and also stating that he see things that he can expose on Gary Russell Jr. Let's get into the quote, fight fans. According to Josh Warrington, and I quote, "I don't know. Sometimes fighters just get a gut feeling, and sometimes you got to run with that gut feeling. Just like with the Lee Selby fight. I seen many things where I thought that we can expose, and I see it with Gary Russell. You know, he's a great fighter. He's got a lot of speed, but he's there for the taking. He's there for the taking, and he's got a green and gold belt, man. The WBC belt. So I love that fight as a massive scout. But in the same respects, the Kanzu fight would be an excellent fight as well," end quote. And the article goes on and states that Eddie Hearn presented 3 fights to Josh Warrington, and that was this Kanzu fight, which is his next upcoming fight. And he also presented him with Gary Russell Jr. and Shakur Stevenson. Now, the thing is, the Kanzu fight, which totally surprised most of us boxing fans, especially those of us who follow Josh Warrington, Kanzu fight came out of nowhere. He's the WBA regular champion at 126 pounds, with Leo Santa Cruz being the WBA super champion. However, Leo Santa Cruz has moved up to 130 pounds. Now, I don't know if Josh Warrington sees this as a way towards the Leo fight if he beat Kanzu and putting him in a position to possibly get the Leo Santa Cruz fight, given he'll be the WBA regular champion. Also, I don't know if Josh Warrington, if he does defeat Kanzu, will have to decide on whether or not to hold the WBA regular and have to drop his current world championship. I'm just not how sure that's going to play out. But if he is unified and he gets to hold both, well, good for him. You know what I mean? But going after the Kanzu fight, this is supposed to be a promising, action-packed fight. Now, this, like I told people before, we've been reporting on this comes at a disappointing time because Josh Warrington and Shakur Stevenson have been mouthing off back and forth ever since last year. And Josh Warrington went through a series of changes involving his career. He changed promoters. He left his old promoter in Frank Warren and returned back to his current promoter in Eddie Hearn. And when that happened, his whole fight trajectory kind of changed. When he was under Frank Warren, he was going straight into that Shakur Stevenson unification fight. It would have been a beautiful thing. But anyway, here we are. So I just wonder how much of this is all talk from Josh Warrington and how much of this is real. Because truth be told, Gary Russell Jr. and Josh Warrington are possibly the most accomplished boxers at the 126-pound weight class. Both men are champions. Both men have been in the ring with top-notch competition at the weight class where you got Josh Warrington been in the ring with Lee Selby. He's been in there with Carl Frampton. He's been in there with Martinez. And then you got Gary Russell Jr. Been in there with Johnny Gonzalez. Been in there with Jojo Diaz, who's a current world champion. And also been in there with the likes of Vasyl Lomachenko. Though he lost, he still got hella ring experience from that particular fight. So these two are being seen as the 2 most accomplished fighters at the weight class. Leo Santa Cruz is now up at 130 pounds. So it's down to these two. And I would love to see the 2 most accomplished fighters at the weight class go at it. We all down for the best to fight the best, right? So, hey, here you go. These are the 2 most accomplished fighters at the class. I think it would be an excellent clash of styles. More so a chess match, 2 speedy fighters, 2 very coordinated fighters, combination punches. It'd be a beautiful fight. It'd be a very beautiful fight. Now, I will admit that Josh Warrington versus Shakur Stevens has been baking. They have been going back and forth in the public. They have expressed that they want to face one another. They're just, I don't know, they're 2 peas in the pod that should be fighting, truth be told, with all of the talk and the buildup that's been going on. And not to mention their buildup has covered now from one promoter in Frank Warren to Eddie Hearn. So it's constantly going on. So It would make sense if they would go immediately into a fight, but I don't know, man. I don't know. If he's gonna call Gary Russell Jr.'s name, and we don't want to hear just talk, because I'm looking at this quote, and Josh Warrington is saying, "Oh yeah, I see things I can expose on Gary Russell," but his very last sentence of the quote was, "The Kanzu fight would be an excellent fight as well." So they're going full-fledged forward with this Kanzu fight. I've been speaking on Josh Warrington wanting an international fight. That's been something he's been desiring and one of his requests from his new promoter in Eddie Hearn. So I think that's the reason they're pivoting to this Kanzu fight. They're doing it in Leeds, UK, which is the hometown of Josh Warrington. And not to mention, Josh Warrington got a victory over Kid Galahad, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right? So yeah, Josh Warrington is a very accomplished fighter, and I have a lot of respect for him, man. And I would love to see him mix it up with Gary Russell Jr., the top of the class. You know, as for Shakur Stevens and Gary Russell Jr., now, remember, fight fans, these two have tremendous respect for one another. Shakur Stevens has been over to work out with the Russells. He sparred the little brothers of Gary Russell Jr. in the past. He's picked up a lot of in-gym knowledge from the Russells, and he has a lot of respect for Gary Russell Jr. But he is saying that he is down to face Gary Russell Jr. Now, of course, Gary Russell Jr. being the type of opponent that his promoter, that Shakur Stevens' promoter, Bob Arum, does not like to work with, because he's high risk, and then I'm going to say he's low reward. He has name recognition, but he's not one of these big, overwhelmingly popular type fighters. He only usually fights once a year. Most of us diehard fight fans, especially in the DMV area, we know the talents of Gary Russell Jr. We know the hand speed. We know about the coordination. We know everything that Gary Russell Jr. brings to the table. So we know it'll be a dynamic fight. But however, the promoter of Shakur Stevens, I don't think he'll look at it that way. Not to mention Gary Russell's a PBC fighter, and which is hard to do business between PBC and Top Rank without somebody trying to break the bank. You know what I mean? So we'll see how much of an easier route it would be if maybe Gary Russell, who's claimed to been in talks in the past at one point in time with Eddie Hearn. Who knows, man? Maybe they can sit down and make something happen. But I would love to see Gary Russell Jr. versus Josh Warrington. I think it's more talk. I think it's one of those things where the name just gets dropped in the midst of names. Oh, yeah, I would like to go and face this guy, Gary Russell Jr., and this guy and this guy. You know, it's not a definitive, I want you type call out. No, it's not that. But in today's boxing time, it's rare, fight fans, that we hear people mention Gary Russell Jr.'s name. The last guy we heard do it was JoJo Diaz, and he actually went after that fight. King Tug also actually did it, but he was also mandated to take that fight as well. It wasn't nothing that they sought out. It was a mandated situation. So it's rare you hear other champions and guys who are not obligated to face Gary Russell Jr. actually say his name. So we'll see. I think it's all talk, but I like to be proven wrong. We'll see. Gary Russell Jr. So according to Josh Warrington, he see things that he can expose. Well, show us, Josh. Show us. To the next video, Main Man Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man Made Man Boxing Forum. Instagram, Main Man Made Man. I like Josh Warrington, man. Like I said, a lot of respect for Josh Warrington. Very accomplished fighter. He got the win at his back right now. I think he's going to run into a brick wall when he runs into Shakur Stevens, and I think he definitely runs into a brick wall with a tank behind it if he runs into Gary Russell Jr. But we'll see. To the next one. Peace out.